Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. Today I'm going to be taking a look back at Robocop vs. Terminator, and I want to see if it's still one of the toughest games from the 16-bit era. But also be sure to stick around till the end of the video for a sneak peek at the next episode. Now with that being said, let's take a trip back to 1993. Robocop vs. Terminator is one of those games that I remember very fondly growing up in the 90s. I remember playing this game non-stop on the Sega channel when it was available and talking about it with my friends back at school because we were all such huge fans of both movies, even though, yes, we were all entirely too young to be watching these movies. But just seeing Robocop take on the Terminator was a freaking dream of mine, and so when I found out they were making a game for it, I knew I had to play it. Now, the game released about a year after the comic book of the same name. It would release on both the SNES and Sega Genesis as the main platforms, but it was also available for other systems such as the Sega Master System, the Game Gear, the Game Boy, the Nintendo, and I believe that was all of them. Maybe even the Amiga as well. I'm pretty sure it was on that. But we're going to be talking mainly about the Sega Genesis version, and I'm going to do a different video covering the Super Nintendo version because that game is drastically different from this version. Now, I first played this game back in 1993 when I first got my Sega Genesis around Christmas time, and I loved every minute of this game. I remember my parents telling me, hey, we're gonna go to Blockbuster, rent some games so you have something to play for the system, because at the time all I had was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now I go in there and there's just a wall of Robocop vs. Terminator games, and I said, I want to get this, I want to rent it, I want to play it. And it was a tough game. As the title suggests for this video, it was a tough game, and many fans of this series will bring that up and tell you that this game was very hard for them when they played it, and some people still to this day have not fully completed this game. Now, how tough exactly is it? Well, let's jump into some gameplay and talk about that a little bit. I know I said this game was tough, and I was not lying. It's very challenging, very difficult at times, and I really don't want that to scare anybody off from playing this game. I really think everybody should check this game out for themselves and see what it's all about, form their own opinions, and see if they like it or not. Especially if you're going to play with the cheat codes, definitely go through the game with those. I mean, it makes the game even more fun to play, and you can even speedrun it as well with the cheat codes to see how fast you can complete the game. Just know that it is a 90s game, it is a bullet hell game, it is going to be very challenging for first time players. I know I was one of those first time players back in the 90s when I first played it, and I had a heck of a time with this game. I really enjoyed this game a lot, but you might be asking yourself, how did the Terminator and Robocop come face to face? How did they fight each other? They're two different movie series. How did this happen? Well, let's go ahead and talk about the story and find out. The story starts off with telling you that Robocop is the reason behind Skynet becoming self-aware and causing the future war. The human resistance is not happy about this, and they send back a fighter to destroy Robocop, but Skynet won't allow that, so they also send back Terminators to protect Robocop. Meanwhile, Robocop is confused as to what is even going on, and when he seeks out the answers, he finds out that it was all caused by him because he had Skynet tech installed when he was being developed. So he goes to the future to stop Skynet from causing any more destruction than they already have. I always like this idea because the game starts off as a typical Robocop game in the first half and then turns into a Terminator game in the second half, and that was basically for every version of this game, which brings me to the environment of the game, and I'd really like to talk about that. When it comes to the environments in this game, there are a lot of levels based around both movies. For the Robocop inspired levels, they are set mostly during the present time, with the streets of Detroit, the Delta City construction area, the toxic waste dump from Robocop 1, and the OCP headquarters. As for the Terminator inspired levels, they are all set within the future war. You get the Terminator outpost, the human resistance, and in a few Skynet related areas that had not been seen in any of the movies at that point. I really enjoyed the attention to detail that they put into this game for both movies. I do have to say though that some of the levels can be incredibly confusing as to where you need to go, and if it was not for the arrows pointing the way, I might have been lost for a while. But hey, at least there was some great music to get lost to, and I really do like the soundtrack in this game, and I'd like to talk about that for a little bit. If you were a gamer of the 90s and even the early 2000s, then you might remember Tommy Tallarico, who did a lot of music for the Sega Genesis and even the PS1. Games such as Earthworm Jim 1 and 2, Tomorrow Never Dies, and even the Terminator on the Sega CD. but his music in this game I could listen to all day. Just hearing that opening theme song playing through the first few levels and hearing the people in the background say "The Terminator" got you hyped because you knew that you were about to fight him eventually, and man, what a fight that was too when I first played it. I do wish that his soundtrack had sounded a little more like the Terminator on Sega CD, but I understand that there were limitations, and I'm totally cool with the soundtrack that we got for this game. But with that being said, let's close this off with some inspirations that this game has had. While the game would not go on to inspire any other game series, it was very much inspired by the comic book and the 2 movies that it was based off of. As I mentioned before, it was also inspired by games like Contra, only you don't die after 1 hit. It takes about 9 or 10 hits to kill you in this game. Did you also know that there were rumors of a movie getting made back in the 90s, but an agreement was never able to be made among the actors? And I'll tell you what, I would have been so excited to see a live-action version of this game with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Peter Weller coming back to play their characters that they were known for. Now, one cool thing about this game, though, was that years later, Mortal Kombat 11 would bring in Robocop and the Terminator as special guest characters, and there's even some lines of dialogue between the two, implying that they have fought before, only the Terminator doesn't remember it, but Robocop does have a memory of this. But I want to know, who do you think would win, the Terminator or Robocop? Also, who is your favorite? Let me know down in the comments below. I would like to thank you again for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I always enjoy making these videos because it gives me a chance to revisit the past and introduce these older games to a newer audience and bring back the memories to those fans who used to play these games back in the 90s and early 2000s. But as always guys, be sure to hit that thumbs up, ring the bell to be notified of when videos go live, share with your friends and family, and as always, I will see you on the next episode. But before we leave, I want to give you a little sneak peek at the next episode.